a new video posted from JCS. They deleted the other video, by the way, because of AI and all that, and it was weird. But anyways, we're gonna watch this video called "Husband Tries to Act Sad." So I'm finally watching it. It's been 9 days, but it is what it is.
CBS News, 50-year-old stay-at-home husband David Tronis desperately wanted to appear on reality television. In late April of 2018, he managed to secure himself a spot on the show Zombie House Flipping, where he would be featured renovating his newly bought house with his then-wife, 39-year-old financial consultant Shanti Cooper. The only problem was that Shanti wasn't nearly as interested in being on TV, so she refused to sign off on the program, which resulted in David beating and then strangling her to death in the early hours of the following morning.
What?
He called 911 roughly 12 hours later at 3:51 p.m.
Hello? She's not breathing. I'm trying to do CPR. I can't. Okay, listen to me. Can you tell me what your address is?
Police and paramedics soon arrived at the residence, where they were met with a hysterical David performing CPR on Shanti in the living room. His immediate explanation was that he found her lying unconscious in a partially filled bathtub, bleeding from the nose and mouth. He was then taken to the police station as a witness, where they swapped out his blood-stained clothing for a custody suit. He was also given a water, a blanket, and a box of tissues, then taken to room 6, where he was reassured that someone would be right with him to answer his questions, which wasn't entirely true. He was left in there by himself for 4 hours and 9 minutes before he knocked on the door to use the bathroom.
Wow. 4 hours?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to bother you. May I go to the bathroom?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
It wouldn't take a genius to recognize that David's behavior is already suspicious. Ask yourself if you'd be acting like this in the scenario he's claiming to be in. You find your significant other unresponsive in a bathtub. Then police leave you in a cold room for 4 hours without telling you anything. You might just ask someone, what the hell is going on? Or what the status of your wife is, and you probably wouldn't be all that polite and apologetic for just trying to use the bathroom. He returns from the bathroom and sits there for another 3 minutes. The detectives will now enter the room to commence the interrogation. The time is 9:08 p.m.
Sir,
Hey.
I'm Detective Sprague. Can I get your first name?
First name is David.
David? Okay. We're gonna grab another chair.
Okay.
Did you need something?
I was just asking for a bottle of water.
Okay, we can grab you.
Thank you.
Have you been to the restroom?
I just want.
You just want? Okay. How about anything else? Anything else?
I'm starving. A cracker or just something.
You and
just
me
with some
both.
salt, right?
Did you eat lunch? I did not eat lunch.
Don't be fooled by the detective's disposition. They're already certain that David has committed either first or second-degree murder, but they don't quite have enough evidence to place him under arrest, which is why they need a confession. David, at this moment, is still free to walk out of that police station, so the detectives will keep the tone sympathetic and non-confrontational for the time being to keep him on that chair. They'll afford him the false belief they are buying into his act as the grieving husband, but as soon as he gives them his initial version of events, the pressure will rapidly accelerate, in a manner that David is in no way anticipating.
What would you like to eat? And I'll run down.
Just something simple. Just like saltines or peanut butter crackers.
Anything
or
like
something.
that? Okay,
Yeah.
that's not a problem. We'll be right back.
Here's your water, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I can take that one.
Yes.
Okay, a couple of things. Okay, is that good?
Perfect.
All right. I'm with you. I haven't eaten since this morning. I'm sorry this is taking.
Bro, you know the craziest thing? He could have walked, like what he said earlier, he could have walked away this whole time and he would not have been in trouble and probably would not have been caught. But here's the thing. He probably thought if I asked, am I free to leave? I'm guilty. So I'm just gonna endure the waiting and just do the waiting and they'll see me as not guilty and it's gonna be worth it. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. It's like a weird brain thought. I can't speak at all today. Holy shit! But I feel like maybe that was just like mindset, you know, just because like because technically, yeah, he could have just leave if it didn't like read his Miranda rights. Because as right now in the video, they haven't showcased like they said his Miranda rights or anything like that. So I don't know if they did. Maybe I missed that. I don't know. But as of right now, they didn't do that.
Taking so long. You are David, I believe? Okay, all right. I'm Detective Teresa Sprague, and this is Detective Barb McClelland. First of all, on behalf of the Atlanta Police Department, we want to say how sorry we are for your loss.
So this is the first, out of a total 11, of David's fake cries. Their intensity level will peak about halfway through this video, during some of the more embarrassing performances.
Oh my God, dude, really? By the way, guys, this is the final video. After this, we're playing Ronin.
You're ever likely to witness on the internet. But from that moment on, you'll notice these acts steadily diminish, as the detective makes it more and more abundantly obvious that she knows he's lying.
David, and also for everything that you're going through. I know this is very traumatic for you, okay?
They start by collecting David's basic information.
Okay, blonde or brown hair?
I love both.
Both, okay. Okay. Hazel eyes, maybe?
I'll take Hazel.
Blue, hazel, okay.
They're dirty blue, yeah.
Okay. Is there a home phone?
There is.
Okay.
I can't remember the last 4 digits. It's 407. The next 3 are easy, 704, the opposite. And I never call it.
Oh, you stopped crying? Or
The next
like,
three are 704?
It's 407, 704, and then I think it's 20.
Bro, what? Bro, killed his wife because he wanted to be on live television? Like, is he? I'm still thinking about that. He was a stay-at-home dad, dude.
2808. It might be 2406, but I have it in my phone. I haven't. We've had it since we were at Briarcliff.
And when did you move to Florida?
In 2013.
Okay.
About 5 months after I met Shanti.
Did you meet her here or there?
I met online.
You met online? Okay. Can you tell me what year that was?
It was 2013.
2013 is when you met online?
Yeah.
Okay. And about 5 months later, did you move here and move in with her, or just move here?
I'll try to be as accurate as possible. I believe it was the end of September.
So you guys knew each other approximately 5 years this month.
I'd never been more in love. We were so happy.
Okay. If you don't, I know you've probably never been through anything like this in your life, okay? And I'm going to help you get through it. So if you have questions, you want to stop me, please do so, okay? But I do need you to understand your rights before we ask you about anything that happened in that home today, okay? All right. You have the right to remain silent. Do you
Oh, there
understand?
it is. Okay, there it is.
I'm sorry?
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Okay. Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Would you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Absolutely? Okay. All right. So I need you to we're going to continue kind of down this path about how you all met. I know you met on Match.com, and about 5 months of, what would it be, telephone, text, and...
We just started every other weekend.
They hit it off, moved in together, then went looking for a house to buy in Florida.
We had an offer on a short sale and waited and waited and waited, and it fell through. And then we closed on the house on Copeland in April of 2015.
So you guys own the house free and clear. Is your name only on it, or was it both of yours?
When we bought the house, we weren't married, and so we put it in a trust, and we just completed the trust paperwork.
He put the house in his and his mother's names while leaving his wife out of it for, quote, planning and financial reasons. He asserts the decision was mutual, but whether Shanti actually knew about this or not is unclear.
And so once you moved to Florida, you've been living together the whole time, just home to home? Just first with the folks, then Briarcliff, and then this residence?
Mm-hmm.
But you've been together the whole time? Have you ever broken up?
We had a couple fights, I think when we were living at Briarcliff.
Okay.
We spent a few nights apart.
He says that he just spent a few nights with his mom, then drifts off into a statement about how Shanti was dedicated to work. The detective will now cut him off and steer the line of questioning back to the argument.
But she's
So when you guys would argue, when you would go to your mom's, it was just because she was busy all the time, or what would the beef be?
The work had a lot of stress involved,
Oh.
and she would sometimes. We always agreed, later that she was just overworked and tired and.
So she'd get a little snippy or short or yell, scream, what?
Just irritable.
Irritable.
Small irritability. And sometimes it just, that's not really, I don't really do that. It's not really, I just stand there. So I just, I would just say, well, we take a break or just let it, a little cool down period. And every time we did it, we came back. I think we only did it twice, but we were stronger.
Okay. And has that happened since you moved where you are now? Because now we've got the added stress of the renovation.
No, we love it. We love the...
This is Keith Ory, the producer of the house-flipping show that David wanted to be on.
When you would be interacting with the Torontos related to your work on the house and also the show, who was your primary point of contact?
Oh, Dave was. He would communicate her desires. I would see her, but it was more like Dave's full-time job, almost, I guess I would say.
Did you ever know during your time that you knew Dave to have any other job?
I was aware that he had explained to me that he had worked for a chemical company up north somewhere.
I actually never knew what Dave did for a living. When my husband had asked him, he said he was into sales.
Sales?
But I don't really know what that means.
David never worked in sales or at a chemical company. You're now about to see Keith explain that he insisted on having a formal sit-down with Shanti to make sure that she was fully on board.
It was difficult to get them both together, but I explained ultimately that we couldn't go forward if I wasn't able to sit down with them both.
Ultimately, you're able to get this sit-down scheduled. Tell the jury about that meeting.
I arrived at the house to meet Dave and Shanti, and she was... by my estimation, unhappy to be there. And it was in a sort of a tense state. It was obvious that she was unhappy with something, and she was only there as long as she absolutely had to be, and then left.
This all occurred 6 days before Shanti was murdered.
Wow.
We love what we're doing to the house. We love the vision that we had for the house. It's totally, she wanted divorce, but she wanted so bad.
That's true.
It made her happy.
Big crying.
Together. She wanted to quit her job. When we got the house done, or just kind of, slowly phase out of it. She thought, a couple of times that she would really need to take a break. And definitely slow down.
That doesn't make sense. Why would she leave her job? She don't want to make an income. This guy's a fucking loser. Doesn't want to work.
She could do more if she wanted to. I'm sorry, I can't talk about it.
Well, actually, no, never mind. No, I take that back because if you was Dad, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's laughing. Like, what the fuck, bro? I was not expecting that. What the hell? That cry.
It was like a really bad.
Now notice how quickly he manages to pull himself out of the depths of despair and into casually talking about his house-flipping show.
He goes back to crying and then normal.
Keith also does. Our lives are busy. I'm so sorry. I know you're asking simple questions, but Keith does a TV show.
Keith, the guy you mentioned, Ori?
Bro, he went from straight crying and then like, oh yeah, by the way, you like, you know what I mean? Like, oh.
It's called Zombie House Flipping.
Keith asked them to be on the show,
which meant that we would get a lot of what they call trade-outs and promotional sponsorship to do.
Any financial incentive to do that?
Big. That's what they call trade-out. I'm sorry, that's what they call trade-outs. So their sponsors That's one of the things I was working on yesterday, was putting together a list of the sponsorships, the windows, doors, cabinets, and so maybe instead of getting granite, you get quartz, or maybe instead of getting, middle range cabinets, you get high-end stuff. And we're also working on kind of just an amazing open concept stairway in the middle of the house that was going to go all the way up to the loft.
And so they'd come in and start filming?
Mm-hmm.
Would they film you all or just the work?
No. Yeah, it's just the house. They're the stars.
Pay no attention to David's no. He fully understood that he would be featured prominently on the show as the main builder construction guy. The so-called stars he's talking about are the hosts. The detective will now establish a timeline.
So when she comes home Sunday, it's you, Jackson, and Shanti, and you just stay at home and have is it a pool get together?
We only have them every other Sunday. It's our family day, and we do like to have an early meal, watch a movie.
So, do you recall Sunday night about what time everybody goes to sleep, since you're all
We go to
the same
bed
room?
early on school nights, so 8:30 we're winding down, 9 o'clock lights are low.
Shanti's son gets picked up the next day at around 5 p.m.
5 p.m.-ish, okay. All right, and then do you guys go anywhere, do anything, or you stay at home?
I think we made dinner together that night. And,
So that would have been Monday night. Did you watch TV?
we did
Any idea what?
American Idol.
Okay, so you wake up Tuesday morning and you're in the garage on the couch?
Mm-hmm. I usually wait for her to come down. She came down after 7 o'clock, probably almost 7:30.
Shanti went back upstairs and David started doing chores around the house. He's now about to mention the last time he supposedly saw Shanti alive, and then break into another fake hysteric. Yet this time, he will get no reassuring feedback from the detective, and the charade will rapidly dissipate.
Just
Okay.
when she came down.
Sorry, I was looking at the list of how many characters I have. Like 9 characters of it, so.
That's not what I saw.
So.
She came down again,
1,
and what happened?
2.
And I've thought about it. I've tried to think exactly what time it is, but I don't know exactly. I would say probably 9:15. And the reason I know that is
She said she was going to the dentist, and he said he was going for a walk. He now attempts another fake cry, but gets ignored again.
And
Did you take the dogs for a walk?
I went for a walk
9. Okay.
By yourself?
by myself.
And where'd you go?
He started fake crying and then he just go back to normal, bro. This
He comes
guy.
back home and feeds the dogs.
That's all that.
Okay, so I think that's what we're gonna do, like
Upstairs
this.
To see when we were gonna head up. So
Okay, and what happens when you enter the home? Is anything unusual? When you enter the garage apartment?
So, I could hear the water is running, but it's not running. It's not like the sound of the shower running. It's just, it's trickling out of the spout.
Okay, and so you walk toward the water that you're hearing?
Yeah, walking to the bathroom.
And then 2 more.
Just in case you
for
didn't catch the passive-aggressive nature of that
Beerus
response,
and Goldfinger.
here it is again without subtitles.
And so you walk
Us?
toward the water
Walk towards
that
the
you're
water.
hearing?
Yeah, walking to the bathroom.
Okay.
Just
What?
look at David's face. Poor David really doesn't want to be getting grilled like this anymore. Keep in mind, it's almost 11 p.m. He likely didn't get a whole lot of sleep the night before,
Sure.
and he's
Okay.
been acting his ass off all throughout the day. He'll at this point be exhausted and want nothing more than to get out of that police station. But he doesn't want to challenge the detective directly and risk losing her approval. Hence he throws out a weak little display of passive aggression to see if she'll pick up on the hint, but it of course gets ignored. She will simply continue pressing with an unsympathetic tone which will cause David to revert back to appeasement. He will then begin recounting the horrific circumstances under which he supposedly found Shanti. And as this unfolds, you will see a glaring disparity in David's emotional presentation.
The door's open, and what happens? What do you see?
I see her laying with her head.
So let's see. I think we're gonna
And
do
it's just extremely
the Cell Saga here.
awful, and it doesn't look natural. Obviously, she fell or something happened.
But you did shut off the water.
I did shut off the water and it drained, which tells me I could hear it draining when I pulled her out. I could hear, so that, okay, so I guess this is all weird, right? Because she's in there, the water's on, and it's draining. It just doesn't make any sense.
And it's not on all the way, it's on how
It's like lukewarm, so just past half.
And she's face down, so the first thing you do is what, if you recall?
I reached out and grabbed her. I reached out and touched her right arm. The water is rose-colored, so there's blood in the water itself. Mm-hmm. I can see a spot of blood.
And you pull her by her arms?
So I grabbed someplace on her arm, tried to get kind of under it a little bit.
And you said she seemed stiff?
Yeah. Hard to move.
There's something so incredibly unnerving in the sound of the casual crunching of his snack as he recounts in precise detail the limp and lifeless body of his wife, so we'll spare you the rest of it.
I had to pull her and turn her a couple of times.
This guy's acting is making me laugh so much, dude.
She felt cold. I grabbed the,
You grabbed the what?
We had, when we did the bedding, we took the mattress cover off to wash it.
The detective asks David to draw a map for the purpose of illustrating the timeline of his movements. She will now shift the line of questioning and begin to gradually intensify the pressure.
When was the last time the two of you argued?
Very briefly on Saturday, right before we left.
The argument was over the renovation. David likely admitted to this because Shanti's son was there for it.
The upstairs floor was very wavy, and the point of contention probably was, do we tear all of that out and put in new structure and trusses so we have a perfectly flat floor and then a perfectly flat ceiling? But I don't think it's an argument if Shanti and I are both on the same page and we're both just in agreement and upset reasonably and justifiably upset that it's taking longer. Shanti and I aren't fighting about it. Mm-hmm. We're both upset about the same thing.
Does she feel as though you don't listen to her?
No, I don't think so. She knows.
Has any fight ever turned physical between the two of you?
No.
Okay. Has she ever hurt you, hit you, struck you, threw anything at you?
No.
No. Have you ever harmed her physically?
No.
David continues to pretend that he doesn't notice the accusatory nature of the questioning, so the detective will now intensify the pressure to a significant degree.
She sheds. She seems to shed.
Her injuries to me, David, seem really significant. More significant than from a soft tissue fall. More significant than from me tripping and falling and hitting my head and being knocked unconscious.
She elaborates on the inconsistencies while David just sits there and nods.
The issue I'm having with it is I absolutely think that she was deceased before you left to go to the park.
Ooh. Ooh.
She repeats what she said a few more times, while David just keeps doing what he's doing.
Okay, so I think that you've told us a significant amount of information. You've been very cooperative, but I also think that you've left some stuff out.
Wow.
And I think you've left some stuff out that is maybe something got out of hand, maybe you didn't mean for it to happen, maybe you got upset, maybe, but there's something that happened between the two of you before you left that house. Because she was deceased, or on her way to being deceased, before you left that house. Now, if there's an explanation, I want to hear it.
I told you everything.
But you've left out something, David, because this woman has significant injuries. Okay, this is not from a fall. Did you harm Shanti in any way?
Absolutely not.
Did you choke her?
Absolutely not.
Did you strangle her?
Without question, no.
Did you beat her?
No.
Did you hit her with anything?
Where's the crying? Where's the where's like the reaction of like, what the fuck are you asking me? Like, what? I didn't do like what? You know what I mean? Like that he just straight out just nonchalant, like no emotion, like no. Absolutely not. No. You know what I mean? But earlier he was crying like crazy. Like that doesn't what?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Do you have injuries?
I do not. I do have some scratches from the bromeliads and from the bougainvillea.
Okay.
I do trim them myself.
Aside from the scratches from his plants, David had no injuries that could indicate a struggle. But this might explain why.
You noticed a single earring on the nightstand?
A single what?
A single diamond earring on the nightstand.
Yes.
Yeah, what was the significance of that?
Looks like she removed it before bed and didn't get a chance to remove the other one.
Because you believe that's when the attack occurred.
On the edge of the bed, where the blood was found on the side rail, yes. And I think when she turned to take that earring out, she didn't see it coming.
Would you mind, just for me to be able to say David is a perfect gentleman and is in the clear and did not harm his wife, would you mind taking a polygraph and proving that to us?
Absolutely.
Okay. Would that be a possibility? Yeah. Okay.
Oh yes, polygraph is like
The detective asks David if
Doesn't
he
really
wants
work.
another water, to which he says, sure. So
Just
she brings
understand.
him a water and tells him they'll be right back with a polygraph machine. But instead of coming right back, they leave him in there for just over 2 hours, during which time they decide not to proceed with the polygraph, but simply ramp up the confrontation.
Hi.
You doing okay?
Yeah, it's just,
Did you sleep a little?
I did.
I know you've got to be exhausted. Or at least mentally. Yeah.
I just want to point out some things to you that I think are unusual. There's so many, I really don't know where to begin, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that I find that the living arrangement, I find to be completely unusual for you to be primarily living downstairs.
I'm not primarily living downstairs.
Well, sleeping.
What I said is that I sleep down there, but I don't go down there till we're done with dinner, we're done watching TV, or we're done for the evening.
Okay, just hear me out.
Okay.
So you don't go upstairs during the day while she's working. You leave her alone, and then
Not entirely. I do go up there.
Okay.
But I don't work up there while she's on the phone because it's distracting. It's her office. I think that I've explained extremely well. She didn't sleep. She did, but you said.
He continues defending the fact that he was exiled to the garage.
I think it's an adjustment and a transition that she didn't feel like she could make right now because she couldn't afford the time that it would take.
But she's sleeping in the only part of the residence that's semi-comfortable. You're sleeping in the garage with the dogs.
how do you explain this woman's head being swollen, her eyes being black? What?
You want a buttercup?
So when you pulled her out of the tub, you agreed?
We're watching a video about a husband who fake cries like a crazy person, who had a tantrum because the wife said no, she does not want to be in a TV show, but he want to be in TV because he want to be aka celebrity. Also, he's a stay-at-home dad, which is nothing wrong with that. But I just want to say that because he's been lying about having a job, so that's a factor. And yeah, here we are. And what are we drawing? Oh, we're just continuing our Vegeta versus design, where we're adding all the fights that Vegeta had within the Dragon Ball Z series. And right now we're at the Android saga right now. Yeah. We're doing Vegeta this time. We're doing Vegeta. Yeah. Hope you guys been enjoying. By the way, I hope you guys been enjoying these versus series. I think it's been really fun. And I think they'd be like these kind of series will last for a long time. I will do other stuff too soon, but you know, I'm having fun with these. This shit looks ass. Thank you, appreciate it.
With me that the water came out of the tub. There's not a spot of water on the floor, David. The carpet isn't wet. The carpet isn't wet from where she was pulled out of the bathtub, sopping wet, all the way around to the front of the couch. The carpet's not wet. There's no blood on the carpet.
Notice how little David moves compared to the detective. It doesn't correlate with anything in particular. It's just sort of interesting to watch.
My guess is she wasn't treating you very well.
What free comments are you going for this year? I haven't gone to free comic book day in a while, so I don't know. What did it have this year? Let's check it around a little bit.
Appreciate the very kind things that you've said.
I'm missing what you're saying because of your suit that you're moving, but I'm missing it. It's really loud, but I missed what you said because you're talking so loud.
I'm sorry, it's Paulina. I appreciate the things that you've said and the genuine consideration and thoughtfulness behind it.
David, you killed this woman.
I cooperated so I could give you all the information and all.
You cooperated because you thought that your language would overwhelm us, and you thought you could pull the wool over our eyes.
I didn't think there was any effort to do that.
All these tangents, all this flowery, fancy language,
answers to questions
all the details,
to questions that you asked.
You know, you fake cried for about 7 or 8 hours today. Not one tear came out of your eyes. Not one. Not one. Not on scene with the officers. Not in this room. You have fake cried over this woman's death since we made contact with you for hours. And every single time you fake cried, we wrote it down. Not one tear came out of your eyes. Not one.
Nope.
Damn.
Okay. We've been extremely patient with you for a very long time. I am losing my patience at this point because there is not a lick of remorse for what you did to this woman. Not even a little bit. You're staring at a woman you're telling us you're in love with, and you've done nothing the whole time. But close your eyes, huddle up, and protect your own ass.
Damn.
So we're just going to prove you're full of shit.
Damn.
And solve this case. And I'm glad you think that's funny. I'm glad you think that's funny.
The investigators would exit the room shortly after this moment, at 4:56 a.m. David would then sit there for a little over 2 hours before finally asking to go home. But before being driven back by one of the officers, they asked him if they could take his photograph. He cheerfully obliged.
What?
Judging by his expression, he may have thought he had just gotten away with murder, but a grand jury indicted him 4 months later, and he was arrested at his mother's house. When he was told he was facing life imprisonment, and that the evidence against him was overwhelming, he started acting crazy, and went for the insanity defense. He was then sent to a maximum security psych unit, where he spent 5 years before a judge ruled him competent to stand trial.
Are you serious?
This is what he looked like on the day he was transferred back to jail. His trial began on October 12th and lasted 6 days. He maintained his plea of not guilty, with his official defense being that he was out of the house walking the dogs while an unknown intruder broke in and murdered Shanti.
You heard about the sleeping arrangement. You heard how the defendant was sleeping in the garage with the dogs while Shanti was staying in the essential, one-bedroom apartment separate and apart from him. And this had been going on, for over a year. This was an intentional killing. A random stranger that comes into a house isn't going to, take the time that it takes to strangle a person, to move them to a tub. Not take anything? Doesn't make any sense. Leave no sign behind, no fingerprints, no DNA? That doesn't make any sense. You have the severe beating of Shanti. You have the injuries to both sides of her face. You have the fractured skull, the swollen shut eye, the damaged eye on the other side, that you saw the, intense bruising and bleeding in both sides of her mouth. This was a beating. So at some point in that beating, the defendant, and you can infer this from the facts, intended to cause the death. And he did it with a premeditated design, We ask that you convict him of first-degree murder. Thank you.
The defense mainly tries to evoke empathy for the defendant, but it ends up just roasting the fake crazy out of him.
Shanti's the only source of the income. She's the breadwinner. He does nothing other than take care of the pool and the dogs. It's about circumstantial evidence, pure supposition, all steered by Teresa Sprague, who prejudged this case based upon a phone call received from her from an officer at the scene about these crocodile tears. This is just a hunch, ladies and gentlemen. A hunch. If you hear horses, if you hear hooves, think horses, not zebras, sort of thing. Because that's the point. You don't get to fit a square peg in a round hole because it's convenient.
What?
And that's what happened here. With the rush to judgment, with the confirmational bias, those two detectives went into a room with David Tronis and worked him over. He sat there for 16 hours, bared his soul to them, literally and figuratively, told them what he knew, told them what he saw. The government's the one spinning here. The government's the one taking the insignificant and stacking them into a pyramid, and I'm confident that after carefully deliberating, that you'll come back and return the only just verdict in this case, and that's a verdict of not guilty. Thank you.
Verdict reads, the jury find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. So it says we all, dated at Orlando County, Orange County, Florida, on the 18th day of October, 2023, signed by the foreperson.
In the midst of this tragedy, Shanti's impact as a mother was shown through her son, Jackson. His victim impact statement was both heartrending and dignified.
My family and I have been waiting for about 5 years for justice. I miss her so much. I would have never thought the day before was the last time I would see my mother alive. I miss the times where we would go to Universal, or just the simple times, like walking the dogs or going to the park. She was the best mom I could ever ask for.
Yeah. Those are real tears, dude, like compared to that fucking asshole.
Questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Jackson. Mr. Tronis, anything you wish to say prior to sentencing? I think you just said no, is that right? Okay. Then in this case, the court will adjudicate you guilty, will sentence you to life imprisonment. Luck to you, sir. And the court will be in recess.
This is his latest mugshot. He is currently being housed at the Graceville Correctional Facility in maximum security, where he is expected to remain.
Wow. All because he wanted to be in a fucking TV show? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? And he didn't want to divorce her because he wanted the money. Because this guy was a lazy loser. He didn't do shit. Like, he didn't do shit. Like, what the? All right, then, dude. All right. Anyways, that is it for the videos because we're gonna play Ronin right now. Let me just finish this Imperfect Cell real quick. But yeah, hope you guys enjoying the drawing so far. We are gonna be doing some like more detailed artwork very soon, guys. I'm just trying to get these done soon as possible because you know, I'm trying to have this like a cool series for the cons and stuff. I do have some more detailed artwork that I'm working on right now behind the scenes. We're like just coming up with concepts and ideas for them. So yeah, just keep a lookout for those guys. They're in the works right now. But yeah, we're just working on these right now, just for right now. Let's see. So yeah, but yeah, that guy is the goddamn loser. I'm happy he's in prison. Fake ass crime bitch. Yeah, dude, what the hell? Anyways, how's everybody doing today? Oh, Dragon Ball Z's shit looks ass. Wait, what? That read that already? Well, I guess he doesn't like it, which is kind of weird though. You like the other one, the Goku. I think you're biased against Vegeta.